Comes back to Schellenberger, and Virginia with a torrent of shots on Shane Brennan.
What's really good, y'all? Happy lacrosse season, everybody. I hope all y'all got a chance to sit down and watch some of that D1 action that we got treated to this past weekend. Now look, this episode could easily be 45 minutes long if we hit on every little thing that happened this past weekend, but we ain't got that kind of time. So we're just gonna jump right into it and talk about some of the main storylines from the marquee matchups. But first, before we get into it, y'all gotta go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me so you don't miss the weekly uploads. Don't worry, I'll wait. In a nutshell, what we saw last weekend was pure and total dominance by three ACC schools: Duke, UVA, and UNC. Let's start with UNC, shall we? Now, before I get into talking about UNC stats and get all excited about all the stuff they did in that game, I gotta address Denver's situation real quick.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Denver played 2 games against top 5 opponents within 48 hours of each other, over 1,600 miles from home. Oh yeah, and face off for their game against UNC, their second game of the road trip, was at 9 a.m. their time. Look, man, I don't even make excuses for myself, much less other people, but I feel like that's pretty important to consider. Anyways, moral of the story is UNC hit him for 24 of them things, and Chris Gray had 6 of them on 50% shooting with an assist. Like, I take 50% shooting on 6 shots. 50% on 12 shots, that's quite a day. Jacob Kelly, Nicky Solomon, and Ryan O'Connell all had hat tricks. And the goalie Colin Creed went 65% in net. Will Bowen, the long pole, even had an icy no-look dish on a fast break. Basically, UNC just shot the lights out. They could not miss. It seemed like they got a quality shot on every possession. I mean, yeah, it makes sense that UNC was able to play a little faster than Denver could because Denver just spent all their juice 48 hours earlier chasing Duke around for 60 minutes trying to win that game. And that was UNC's first game. I mean, aside from Denver being gassed though, UNC's offense looked crisp, bro. Like, I wonder what that would have looked like playing against a well-rested Denver team that actually held Duke to 12 goals. Something tells me UNC still would have came out on top, but yo, 24 goals on a Bill Tierney coach team, that's kind of a lot. Bro, why everybody and their mama doing yard work today? Loud, I gotta go to a different part of the neighborhood. Okay, anyways, we're trying to keep this quick, so let's just talk about UVA for a second. UVA really came out in their first game since March and hung 20 on Towson. Like, Towson hung in there and showed us some fight, but UVA just... All right, let me put it to you this way. Peyton Cormier had 6-1. Colin Schellenberger had 4-3. Charlie Bertrand had 4-2 from the midfield. And then 6 other UVA players each scored a goal each. But you know who didn't score any points in this blowout? Ian Laviano, Matt Moore, Dox Aiken. 3 of the essential offensive starters from the 2019 National Championship team. No points. And all 3 of those dudes are obviously so sick at lacrosse. So my point isn't that they're bums or something. My point is that this is essentially a brand new UVA offense, even with those 3 dudes still on the roster. P. LaSala did throw a pretty sick backhand dish to Cormier real early in the game, and he had a nice goal of his own. He actually split somebody up off the face-off right to left and like jaded with the left hand. It was a nice take. I don't know, it was just weird that P. LaSala was basically like the only returning face in that brigade, but yo, Cormier about to be an issue. And Schellenberger balled out in his first game as a Wahoo. I was actually thinking about this, and then Will Manny basically read my mind on Twitter and called it out before I got a chance to. But yo, Connor Schellenberger literally reminds me of like 2013 Marcus Holmley. He about to put cats on notice. Like, could you imagine him and Matt Moore behind the net together running a 2-man game? Like, oh, I want to see that so bad. Anyway, what I'm really trying to say here is UVA is loaded thanks to everything that's happened in the last 10 or 11 months. And I fully expect them to make a deep run into the playoffs, kind of like this last team that we're going to talk about. Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk about Duke. They escaped the weekend 2-0 after playing 2 games within 48 hours. Is this the most loaded Duke roster we've ever seen? Well, I mean, no. Come on, man. Let's be honest with ourselves. We already talked about this on the show. The 2013 and 2014 Duke teams were the most stacked rosters in the school's history. There's 5 players from those teams that are still playing in the PLL, but I digress. But it's definitely the most stacked since then, and it has crazy potential. I mean, your starting attack is Mike Sowers, Dyson Williams, and oh yeah, Brennan O'Neill. Like, dude, Joey Manown and Joe Robertson are coming off the bench. Nakai is dropping hat tricks off the bench. JT and Tyler Carpenter still got straps down there on defense. I think they combined for, 9 ground balls against Robert Morris alone. And 2 different goalies on that roster both have comeback wins after starting the game on the bench. Like, Duke ain't hurting for talent, bro. they stacked. Duke beat Bobby Moe 16-12 in their second game of the weekend. So yeah, Duke played 2 games in 48 hours just like Denver did, but like both games were at home and their second game wasn't against a top 5 opponent. So it's not quite the same thing. I don't know. I think it's obviously a little too soon to predict how the season's gonna go, but one thing is for sure, the ACC got some ridiculous firepower. And look, before all the bandwagoners jump in, I gotta call something real quick. Utah is gonna make the tournament this year as an independent. And no, not as some play-in, not as some 16 seed, something like that. No, they gonna get in like legit. Yo, they played Denver within 1 and beat a pretty good Bellarmine team by 5. Like, they're here, bro. Put some respect on their name. So anyways, what y'all think? Is the ACC gonna be the conference to beat when May comes around? Comment down below and let us know. Yo, real quick, before you do that though, scroll back up for me. Go ahead and like this video if you liked it. And just to let you know, that little share button right there, if you hit that share button, you can send this episode straight to a friend. You should try that out. All right, y'all, that's it. I gotta bounce. Be easy. Peace out.